Okay, ladies, good to see you. I think we're supposed to do this. Anyway, okay, so we're going to start out with the texture paste. Hopefully you can see that pretty well. And I'm just going to take a little bit out of here. And I did send you a little bit in the mail, in your little packet, just a sample so you could try to make it work. But here is how you get it out of the jar. Yours will be a little baggy. And then you just add a little color. So I'm going to use my re-inker from my stamp pads. If you don't have re-inker, you just have a stamp pad, then you can put color afterwards. So let's just start with using it as adding a couple of drops of re-inker. And a little goes a long way. So you don't want to have to do too much. Just make a little bit in here. And I'm just doing an example. So here we are. We're going to mix it up nice. And if it has some white spots in it, don't worry about it, because when you make real bricks, if you see them, whether they're gray or they're brown or red, they usually have different shades in them. They're not all solid, just because of the nature of bricks. Okay, so that's just about ready, but just for a reminder, I'm going to show you what we're making. We're making this little brick step here. So I'm going to do that on a separate piece of paper, which I have here. It's just a piece of cardstock, which is the same color cardstock as what you have in your book. So we're going to do maybe like some of it at an angle, bottom right. You can tape it down with a little bit of washi tape, or if you're using regular tape, just make sure that you kind of take some of the tack off of it by touching it with your fingers before you put it down. And you're going to apply a really, really thin coat of this texture paste, because all you're trying to do is, give the impression that it's a brick wall. You don't need to have it super thick. So here we go. And we are going to be covering part of it with your picture that you're going to be cutting out, which is the one that was on the back of that stamp set that came in your packet. So you can see I'm not fussing too much. I'm just getting it on there before it dries in a very thin layer. This is very dark gray. You can do yours with a little brown if you have brown ink, or with gray, or whatever you have, whatever color you think is going to match with your background, but you can't really ruin it, because even if you get it on there and you don't like the color, you could always sponge a different color onto it. Okay, so we're going to call that done. I'm not going to sweat it too much. I'm going to lift this up gently, and now you can see that that looks like it has some bricks on there. You will want to wash off your stencil probably fairly quickly, because that stuff does dry, but it's fine for now. And then I sent you in your packets a little sponge, and that sponge is what you're going to use with your inks, whether it's the distress ink, the little sample inks I sent you a while back, a pink ink, a gray ink, whatever you have. You just rub it in it and then go over this to add some background color. I would wait until it's completely dry. In the meantime, get your other supplies out. So you remember that in your packet there is a stamps, or pardon me, some stickers like this. You're going to pull this bottom one off with the floral arrangement, and that is what I put behind this little stripe piece. So you can use it or not. I was covering a mistake, just so you know that's how I covered it. And it just gives a little pop of color. For now, here are your alpha stickers that came in your pack. Just grab if you have tweezers, you can grab a pair of tweezers and pull off the letters, and grab a piece of scratch paper. I'm grabbing one now. Okay. I would take one of the little, I gave you some scratch paper in the back of your, or in your packet. There's some that are marked, it says scratch paper. And you just put your words on there, day one, align it along the bottom edge. Use your little tweezers. Let me see if I can get that in there. There you are. Okay, so there's the D, and you're going to go day 1 all the way across the bottom and then cut around the edge. And when you're done, you'll sponge the edges like you did the other with maybe a little pink. I did pink. You can do whatever you want or leave it blank or leave it without any shading. And then just adhere that piece to your inside binding. So while you're waiting for the bricks to dry, you can trim around that girl and her background. And that's what I did. Then go ahead and pull out the scripture that came with the 2 clips on it. Had the 2 ribbons and paper clips. One of those has this on the back of it. So pull that out and start estimating where you're going to need to either tuck it under this tree or trim it down a little bit, or both. And then once you get those in place, then you can set those aside so that you can adhere it to your brick page. And then after that, we'll make the colors blend. But for now, we'll go ahead and say that this is a very oversimplified version of what you were looking at, just because this takes a minute to dry. Okay, I'll see you in the next video. This was day 1, page 1. Thanks.